Andrew McGahon for the MacLife.com here in the UFC Performance Institute, standing alongside John Kavanagh, a man that I have seen and known for many years, but always in a coaching capacity. And today I got to see something that I never thought I would get to see again. John Kavanagh lacing up gloves. This has been an enjoyable camp for you. I know it's maybe not as intense as you're used to, not as grappling heavy as you're used to, but it seems like you've really relished being able to put them on today and get a few rounds done.
Yeah, all of my fighters have been saying it looks so weird me with gloves on rather than a gi or in grappling gear. But like you said, it's been an educational experience, and I was just saying to Orla there at the end, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, I'll be showing photos saying I moved around with one of the best boxers in the world a week out from the biggest boxing fight of all time. So it was a lot of fun. Very honoured.
For me, the first time seeing it, what I assume was, I don't want to say the close of camp because there still will be training sessions until then, but there was a great picture taken by one of the UFC photographers of yourself and Conor a couple of years ago before the Mendez fight, the two of you with both clasped hands in the middle of the training mat. So many sessions done, we've upgraded the software without damaging the hardware. Is that what this has been about? Because it really seems like, I spoke about the professionalism to you before, but just the fluidity of everything that you're seeing in these training sessions.
Yeah, it's actually last night I had I couldn't sleep, so I stayed up and I started watching back some fights, and it's a year from the Diaz 2 fight, and I read somewhere that a big part of them getting the license for this was based on their viewing of the Diaz 2 fight in terms of his hands. And for me, a year later watching him in that fight, I know that guy wouldn't do 5 or 6 boxing rounds with this guy. He has gone at a complete new level now that he's been able to just purely focus on the hand techniques of MMA, what we call boxing. So yeah, like I said, even last night watching that fight, he looked almost in slow-mo, and some of the things he was doing, he's just doing so much better now. So it's been great.
Something that caught a little bit in the crossfires from the media workouts was Conor's warm-up. Now, those that wouldn't know the injury history or everything that he's had to go through with his body, and now how thoroughly he is looking after his body with warm-ups, maybe they didn't know who Rickson Gracie was either, because the spaghetti arms, the whatever, that's not a boxing thing, that's a Rickson Gracie thing, and that's movement personified, and I think that's the most perfect warm-up he could have been doing.
Yeah, of course, I'm everybody who does jiu-jitsu is Rickson's their superhero. So I had that choke VHS. I wore that out many times, and he was doing that arm workout. But then obviously we've brought in Ido Portal, and I guess when I saw Rickson doing it, I used to just mimic it, but I didn't really know why. And then when Ido came in, he spoke about the separation of the shoulder and how to develop power with this sort of whip technique. And if you watch all Bruce Lee interviews, he talks about as well, this kind of a ball on the end of a chain. And if you look at a lot of guys, boxers especially, the kind of rounded shoulders, and MMA fighters, like the classic Wanderlei Silva pose, always the shoulders rounded, this is all solid. So they're kind of blocking themselves from getting the free whip in the shot. It's kind of, I put up a tweet initially where they're confused, and then they ridicule us, then they watch us, and then they mimic us. And like UFC, it's hard to watch a UFC card now where someone doesn't come out with kind of flowy hands to call it what it is.
Or says it is what it is in their post-fight press conference.
Yeah. We see it. The guys who have the eyes see it. And I've no doubt once the boxing community see some of those shots landing, they might rewatch that and take it with a bit more seriousness.
You are a man that has always kind of kept an oversight on everything, whether it's checking posts on boards.ie or replying to people on Twitter. The boxing community, have they come at in force? Has there been many John Kavanagh blockings on Twitter? Is it somewhat respectful? They seem, from my looking at it, they seem to be fairly dismissive of this contest and that it shouldn't be happening to begin with.
I guess I haven't experienced it, if I'm being honest. The boxers that I would have some kind of social media relationship, the McConlons, the Paddy Barnes, the Highlands, all of these guys, nothing but respect. And I completely get where they're coming from. For some of them, for doubting and so on, but just for being outright complete disrespect, I haven't experienced that. So no, it's just been them giving their point and me giving my point back, and then we have to agree to disagree. And the great thing about our sport, all questions will be answered this time next week.
When it comes to being so close to the fight now, you're after saying this time next week, it'll be said and done. It'll be after the pool party will be in full swing. But When it comes to something like that, when it starts getting closer, I know that you try and stop yourself from getting caught up in situations, but will you more than usual this week allow yourself to take more in?
Yeah, I probably did that for the New York fight, the Eddie fight. I really did look around and drink it all in, fighting him. You know, it was the first time Madison Square Garden and the history of that. But this one, I don't think I'll be doing that. This one, I'm more focused. You know, it is our first time doing a boxing fight, and I'm still learning. I'm still talking with members of the commission here about. For example, we're used to 4 cornermen. You know, now it's 3 cornermen plus a cut man, and this. You know, you've got to watch them wrapping their hands, and they come in and watch you wrapping your hands, and we have to look at the gloves a few days before, and then they're locked away. So no, I feel this one's a lot more switched on rather than looking around. So this time next week at the pool party, I'll look around.
Excellent. Well, then 3 quick things. I know I say 2. Number 1, after being through this camp from the first session and everything being documented, you spoke about that when we talked in Dublin. Did it go to plan? Was there hiccups along the way? For you, after a guy that has planned at camps before, was this as good as it could have hoped, or natural hiccups as would be expected with a fight of this magnitude?
Yeah, I mean, there's always, you know, a few curveballs here and there, but you know, the big ones will be the weight is on point, injury free. You know, we're all still getting on with each other. Sometimes near the end of a fight camp, you're looking at the same few faces every day. You start kind of biting at each other, but everybody's still in good spirits. So all of the things that matter went very, very well.
What is the one thing that John Kavanagh will take from this camp and from this experience?
Don't box with Conor McGregor.
And then finally, when it is all said and done, are you really expecting... I know that you have a very good line in relation to losses, and it's that we get up the next day and the world continues. The sun rises and we get on with our lives. But it really seems that when the unthinkable happens this Saturday night, the rest of the world won't want to get on with their lives. Does John Kavanagh have any advice for what people will do to get over it on August 27th when they wake up?
Honestly, I said it to Roddy. I feel this is a very interesting fight in terms of both camps have such high expectations. Like, a lot of times you go to an MMA fight and you expect to win, but there's a possibility of losing. And I feel on their side of things, they don't expect Conor to land a punch. Like, they don't expect to win. They expect it to be absolute walk in the park. You know, when Mendes fought Conor, Mendes, of course, expected to win, but he probably thought, okay, I've got to go through a bit of hell here, but maybe I can wear down to wrestling and so on. And we had that same thought process the other way. But for this fight, they don't expect a shot to land. And I can honestly say, when I speak about own, I don't expect this to be the hardest fight of all time for Conor. I expect him to go in there and completely dominate. So one of us is living in a delusion. But I really find it hard to imagine anything else other than Conor really putting on a clinic and really just destroying him. That's if I'm being genuinely honest. I'll finish by saying, at the end of the day, it's a sporting contest. It's not, you know, there's a lot more. What's that song? Real bad news comes Tuesday afternoon. Something about your family or something like that. This is a sporting contest, and I'm just looking forward to the whole experience of it.
Perfect. John Kavanagh, thank you very much.